Okay, so this is a big video for us. So mental health. What is mental health? Is there a difference between anxiety and depression? Is there anything we can do to prevent mental health issues, and what to do if you are having issues yourself? We know that mental health is a massive issue, and this is probably one of many videos that I suspect that we'll release over the next few months. And I have to say, I don't have a massive amount of experience with mental health, so this is pretty much yours, Lydia, but I'm sure I'll interject because I can't stay quiet.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's go for it.
So it's a state of well-being, well-being, emotional and psychological and social well-being in life. So it affects, obviously, how we think, how we feel, how things affect us. It can see how we manage with stress, how we relate to different things, choices. There's so much to it. Loads of stuff, and there's loads of different groups, like you've got anxiety, you've got depression, you've got personality disorders, you've got eating disorders. There's a broad brush of mental health. So,
massive. Could I just ask one question? Well, firstly, I can't even let you speak for a minute before I have to jump in. So I'm just reading because Lydia's just got some little notes in front of us. So you said a state of well-being, so our emotional, psychological and social well-being. So that's actually three big subjects in itself. So what does that mean? So our emotional well-being, so what does that mean?
Well, our state of emotion, so negative or positive emotions, how we're feeling, where we're at in our if we're happy, sad, what the reason. So emotional is that side. Social is when you're with people, again, how it's affecting your mental health. So some people get, for example, social anxiety when they go out, depending on, again, their emotions, which has usually got to do with a lot of stuff.
And I guess it can be affected by characters around you. Yeah. Maybe narcissist or sociopath.
There's so much, and that goes into personality disorders.
Oh, okay.
So that's another area in mental health. And so it all goes under mental health groups. So you've got different groups. So you've got your mood groups, which is your depression and your bipolar. Then you've got your anxiety group. Then you've got your personality disorder group. Then you've got your eating disorder group, and it's so forth. Wow. Yeah, it's massive.
Massive.
Yeah, really big.
And so big, yet still very much misunderstood and still very much shrugged off by a lot of people, especially if people don't understand it. I am very fortunate. I've never, thankfully, suffered with mental health issues. However, I have got people in my life that have suffered with mental health issues and do suffer. Yeah. So I don't think there's many people out there in the world actually that don't either have it or know someone that does. But I do find still that people kind of still brush it off quite easily. Oh, mental health issues. And actually it's not that easy, from knowing people very close to me that have had and have mental health issues. It's crippling.
Oh yes, it's bad. There's ways to cope with it and manage it. Obviously, which we can talk about in a bit, but there is differences in it. When it comes to anxiety, I can talk a little bit about on the difference between anxiety and depression.
Sorry, go on.
No,
I always interject. It's not my thing, and I still
have that relationship where we can't. It's that.
Is anxiety probably the most common mental health issue? Because
I would say so.
I get anxious, but I'm not anxious. I get anxious. There are situations or people that make me feel anxious,
that way,
but I'm not anxious. But I know I have known people that have crippling anxiety where it's constant.
Yeah. Well,
it never stops.
GAD, isn't it? Generalised anxiety disorder, where it's all the time, isn't it? It depends on what level it is.
I've known people that have it so bad it gives them panic attacks.
Yes. Yeah, because you can get the physical aspects of anxiety as well. So, anxiety itself is general apprehension, fear, worry, again, on that one. And then your depression is your sadness. You feel really sad. I've suffered with both, so I know how it feels to do both. I've had depression and anxiety. Depression is sadness. You just feel really, really low, really, really unhappy. And then anxiety is that constant worry. And you can have both. You can have both as well. They must almost fight against each other then, because the anxiety is quite
is it fight and flight? Is it that kind of,
anxiety is
you
fight
kind
or
of
flight.
expecting something to happen. You're always dreading the worst, and something's going to happen. Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then that sadness it really pulls you down. So you kind of the two must really collide.
Yes.
And that must be exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's quite interesting, really.
Yeah.
It's a really big subject on that one. We can go off so many different tangents with it.
Just going back to anxiety, because it's the one probably that I do understand a little bit more, because I've had anxious moments, but I've not been anxious. I've known people as well that it affects every part of their life. It actually affects their work, their jobs, how they see the world, how they deal with stuff. And it really is debilitating. It is, and it's affected their relationships, their friendships, their relationships with the family, and co-workers and stuff. It's because of that constant fear, and it's almost made them paranoid.
Yes.
Because they always think that someone's out to get them, and no matter where they work, that kind of follows them around. And it's and trying to switch that off and realise that it's probably not everything else, it's something inside that needs I don't know if fixing is the right word to say, and I don't want to be rude to anyone that's suffering, because I don't think fixing is the right word, but to heal, I guess, or to feel better.
It's to learn how to manage those thoughts, though. If you're in a negative mindset, which, by the way, the human brain it always goes for the negative,
because it's easier,
and it's how we're built, fight or flight. It is unfortunately how the human brain works. So it's trying to manage those thought patterns, really, and doing it. There is loads of different therapy techniques that you can use, like cognitive therapy, teaches you how to think. It's trying to think differently with those anxious thoughts. So like you're worrying about, I don't know, give an example of worrying about something. What's the thought that you can think of?
Perhaps driving on the motorway.
Yeah,
that's quite a common one, isn't it? People get worried about driving on a motorway.
Yeah, because it's so busy. You're thinking, oh my god, the lorry's coming right near me. I've done that where you're like, I remember when I first drove, I used to be like, and you're thinking that worse, and really you should just be really concentrating on driving forwards. That lorry's in his lane next to you. And obviously you see on TV, which obviously that sort of thing doesn't help. This is why I am really against watching the news.
I stopped not watching news a couple of years ago.
It can trigger your mental health. I find a lot of people that watch the news get very negative. And you're almost like buying into what they're saying, because the media does that. And obviously going back to the lorry driving, people having car accidents. There's a lot of people and cars in the world. It will happen to someone, but it's very unlikely unless you're like going crazy on the road. The news doesn't help mental health.
So I guess it's for anxiety, it's understanding those things that can seem seemingly small, actually, like avoiding the news, because there's a thing of you want to keep kind of in touch with what's going on in the world, but at the detriment of your mental health. Actually, switch the news off, switch your social media off. It's understanding then what your triggers are. And if one of your triggers is, for example, driving on the motorway, it's like, well, can you find a different route? Can you leave an hour earlier so it won't be so busy? Can you leave an hour later so it won't be so busy? Can you shorten your journey? I guess it's then putting those plans in place to help you get through it a bit easier.
Keep going on the motorway. Like I had a client yesterday who was struggling stepping out because she'd fallen over off a step. So I was trying to teach her. I was like, right, we've got this. Being a PT, I was like, right, step out, step back in, and I was there to support her. So taking someone on the motorway with you to support you, so you can do it, because it's that fear again, that anxiety, because it's trauma or something's triggered you, or do you know what I mean? It's always goes back to that fear and apprehension and worry.
I think when I was learning to drive, my dad taught me to drive, and I passed my driving test. And literally the day after I passed my driving test, I think I must have passed on a Friday or whatever day it was. The first thing he did is like, right, get in the car, and got in the car, and he took me to the closest motorway, told me to get on the motorway without even thinking, and we went up. We must have gone up and down for I don't know how many hours, up to the next junction, off, back down, and he said, we're going to do this until you're confident, and I did it, and personally now I never have any problems with just going because he did that with me.
Yeah.
I mean, years ago now. Obviously, I'm only 22, but it was a few years ago that he did that. But it did help. But absolutely, it's like get someone with you that is confident.
Yes.
That hasn't got that anxiety about whatever issue it is, and go with it.
Yeah.
And I've known people that have had hypnotherapy, which has been really successful for anxiety.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of
loads of talking therapies.
Loads of talking, and lots of herbal substances. I'm not talking like the illegal ones. I'm talking like there are lots of other things to help calm you down, like what's it like lavender. You were talking about lavender earlier. Having lavender, and there's other things that can help calm. There's one of those balms that you put on your forehead. I can't remember what it's called now. But there's lots of things out on the market that help with anxiety, isn't there?
Definitely.
But I do probably think that actually voicing your concerns is probably the first thing to do.
It's talking it through again. It's having that support network with people that you can talk to about it. Yeah. Isn't it? Which helps.
Or, and another thing that me and Lydia are very much aligned with is if you haven't got anyone to talk to or you don't feel like you can talk, is just write it down.
Yeah.
Just get pen to paper and make sure it's pen and paper because you have more connection with the emotion. Is just write it out. You're not writing it to be written, not to be seen, you're just writing it just to get it off your chest. So that's another big a big one. So we've just gone off because we went down the anxiety track a bit then.
We go off on
but
this
the
one.
difference, so what are the we've talked about the differences between anxiety and depression, and we've talked about how they can clash, and we've just talked quite a lot about anxiety on its own thing, and we've said right at the beginning of this video we will come back, and I think this is a common discussion that we will come back and talk in a lot more detail about lots of other things, because we talk a lot between ourselves about personality disorders and stuff, so we'll come back and do lots and lots of stuff on this. But what is there anything we can do to prevent mental health issues?
Looking after yourself, self-care. You need to look after your body, eat well, look after your mind, mindfulness, gratitude, all that meditation, all the stuff that we really believe in. Watch your sugar, watch your alcohol, because that massively affects you. Caffeine for some people, even though I do have 2 cups of coffee a day, it's one of my things. But
you're relatively new to coffee drinking.
I drank it last year. Started last year, didn't really like it, but started just to keep me going. A little bit of alertness, I need it. Otherwise I'd be laid back Larry and be lying down all the time. But so you've got to a bit of self-care really. Take time out for yourself. Keep a journal. Buy a vet's journal. There you go.
I'll put the link in the comments.
There we go.
I'm talking about the self-care, so taking care of your body. Exercise is obviously one of the biggest things, and the cheapest things to do. And I know there's lots of great gyms, and Lydia's a PT, and I go to a fantastic gym, and I absolutely love it. But one of the easiest ways, and I think Lydia will agree with me on this because she does it every day as well, is just get out and walk.
Move.
The effect that has on your mental health is huge, especially if you're on your own, and I would advise as well to, especially at first, if you are having mental health issues and you need a bit of a break, is don't take any headphones or anything, just put your shoes on, open the door and just walk.
That's it.
Just walk. And if you're not used to walking, just walk 5 minutes one way and then come back. Set your timer to walk 5 minutes and come back. Next day, walk 6 minutes. Next day after that, walk 7 minutes. Build it up slowly. And I've talked about this on my Instagram. I walk every day. I walk my friend's dog every day, and Lydia walks her dog every day. And individually, we both love our walks. We find we get a lot of clarity. But on my walks, I always see this chap that walks around my local town. My town's pretty small. It's not really that many places to go. There is some nice walks. But I kept seeing him every day walking, and I stopped him one day, and I always used to chat him, how many steps you done today? And he'd tell me, and then I stopped and chatted to him one day, and so I see you out walking. He's never with anyone or with a dog, and basically he's got a medical condition. I don't know what it is. I never ask. It's not up to me to ask, but he's got a medical condition, and basically he'd been to the doctors, and the doctor said you've got to lose weight. He was obviously overweight, but he's got a medical condition, means that he can't do exercise in the kind of what we would see as exercise. He can't go to the gym, he can't do running or anything like that. So he decided to walk, and he walks every day now. He does an average of 25,000 steps a day. I saw him just after Christmas. I think it was just early January. He was on set for doing 100 miles that week. But when I spoke to him, he had already lost 4 stone. He'd only been walking about 3 or 4 months. He'd already lost nearly 4 stone. He said he said physically it's made him feel so much better, because obviously he feels better, he's lighter, he feels fitter. He said, but the biggest change was his mental health.
Yes.
Because what it's done is given him that time and space. And again, he doesn't ever wear headphones or anything, he just walks. It's given him that space. He said he's got much more clarity on life. If he's ever unsure about a decision, he goes out and walks, and it helps him clear his head. He feels much more positive, much more confident. And that's just from walking. That's just from walking. And I just think that's so incredible. And the fact that he is kind of just going out and walking every day, which is completely free, has completely changed his life. Completely changed his life. And I literally saw him today when I was coming back from walking, but I was driving, so I couldn't stop. And I haven't seen him for a few weeks. And again, you could tell he'd lost a bit more weight, and he was just tootling along, and he and I think that's incredible. And for mental health, it's one of those massive things you can do, and it's so easy and it's so free. Just put your shoes on and just walk. Just walk. There's no pressure on where you're going, who you're going to see. Just get out and walk. And I think that's probably the start, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
For everything.
Definitely.
Sorry, I did go off on a bit of a tangent then, unlike me.
Love a tangent.
So we talked about this, and myself and Lydia were just talking about this before we started this video. We are going to do a separate video on mindfulness, because we feel that that's another big area. But what for mental health, what are perhaps a couple of tips for mindfulness that people could do to help kind of do to prevent mental health issues?
I think you need to be thoughtful of how you're thinking. Be aware of your own thoughts. There's terminology for it, but you can actually think about your own thoughts. Does that make sense?
Yes,
there is a name for
it does actually. It's kind of remember to remember. Don't, because you get very carried away with your thoughts, especially if they're negative, because a negative thought, as we said earlier, is so quick and it goes quickly. It's actually knowing that you're going down that thought pattern and stopping it. And I find you have to I have to physically no, stop, I click my fingers and move. I get that. I get that. So understanding what you're thinking about, being aware of what you're thinking about.
That's what I say, journaling again, writing it down, get that journal, write it down. Maybe you can see, or talk to someone is another thing. But I know if you are suffering mental health, some people have trust issues. So it is finding someone that you do trust. That's why counselling or therapy is really good if you don't have those people in your life.
Finding someone with the right empathy as well.
Definitely. Obviously there's medication for both. I've been on those sort of tablets before. I've not been on for 6 years now, but they do help. But also I really think talking therapy is the best way forward, or just finding someone that you can talk to, that you can trust, who
definitely has
that knowledge and you feel comfortable with.
No, some good tips there. And just lastly, because this one's gone quite on, but I think we knew this video was going to be a long one, didn't we? We knew this, this is kind of the start of many. There'll be a series of these, I'm sure. What to do if you're having issues. So if you're feeling very anxious, you're feeling depressed, you're having, or you've got any of those, anything that can be kind of under the mental health umbrella, what should people do?
I think you just need to talk to someone, don't you, really? It is all about communication. Talking, writing it down, saying things, same points, write it down,
seek
help. Especially if it feels like it's at a level where you're on a constant cycle, it just doesn't seem to go away, and you're always in a real negative space, then it's definitely really important to go see your doctor. I'm really lucky on that aspect. My doctor's absolute legend. Thanks, Dr. Crowley. He's great, and he really understands me as a person. So it's good, a good relationship that I've got there. But I think talking. I'm very, very grateful, because I'm very, I wouldn't say lucky, I've just met some really lovely people that I feel comfortable with and trust. So it's finding those people that you can talk to.
And it can be hard. I think anyone that is going, and if you're having any kind of problem in mental health or otherwise, I think sometimes it's very hard to put your hand up and say, I'm having a problem. So we understand how hard it is, but I think it's just finding that person you can trust and just talk it out.
There's loads of helplines as well, like Samaritans. There's loads of mental health.
We'll put some in the links on here as well.
There's so many. You can ring people now, loads of different stuff. Some people I know in Market Harbour, they did do a walking for mental health, where they go out every week for a walk and talk.
Oh, that's good.
They did that, which was absolutely brilliant. So I know you can find different things like that if you just need to talk to someone.
Yeah.
But yes, so many different things. But I know some people, when they do get in a bit of a mental health cycle, you don't feel worthy. It's almost like you don't feel worthy. So therefore you don't want to speak to anyone, because you feel like, I know from people that I'm very close to, they feel like they're going on at someone, like about and they feel guilty.
Yeah.
So they get that emotion. I'm like, but
I remember someone saying to me they felt like a broken record. Yeah. They're sick of their voice, sick of the sound of their voice. I'm like, but if it's helping just keep going.
But it's then if that person who you are talking can take that emotional.
Yes.
Because not everyone. Some people are in such a bad headspace themselves, they can't take that. But that's where you set boundaries and go, look, I can't give you that emotional space.
You need
right
to find
now,
the right person.
It is. Yeah. It is difficult, but it's finding the right people, or asking them to start with. I've got a lot of emotional stuff. I really need to talk to someone. Do you have that emotional capacity to listen to me?
Yeah, and I think if you're at school or in a workplace, a lot of workplaces now have schemes that help. And I know at one of the companies I used to work at, they had a special scheme for mental health. So if you're having any mental health issues, you rang and you got through to someone, and then you've got like 6 counselling sessions, which was used a lot, and a lot of people went for it. And at schools there's a lot of support as well. So if you haven't got someone in that close circle, you don't feel you can speak to someone in your family or in your friendship group, talk to someone at work. And often actually if in a workplace, someone at work's probably better, because they haven't got that emotional connection either, so they can listen and help, but they won't actually take on the emotion of it. So actually that someone at work, or go and visit your HR or something, that they're always a good place to start.
Definitely.
There will be more.
Definitely. It's a big topic, that one.
Big topic. Is that everything for today?
I think that'll be everything
That's
for today.
everything for today. Right. Thank you very much. Bye.